I was never a runner. I was always made to do the 1500 metres just because that was the only thing that I could do because I was too slow to do anything else. I used to do across country, and I was one of those kids who had a packet of fags in the back pocket, so I'd stand at the back and have a fag on the way around. It can be quite difficult sometimes because people don't realise that you're deaf, and they'll sort of zoom past you with their dogs or their buggies or whatever, and you feel like you're being tripped over every 5 minutes. I suppose that's just part and parcel of part one. You know, people don't sort of run in the right order. You know, the fast ones should be at the front and then they should get going. There's sort of things like that, but I just love it. At Deaf Hub, we have set up a running group in Malton. We try to make it so that it's got a mix of deaf and hearing. So we don't want to set up just a deaf running group, because deaf people don't want to be just running amongst themselves. They like mixing. The hope is to try and make running groups more accessible as a whole.
Hi, my name is Michelle Lewis. 10 years ago, you'd have been lucky to see me run to the end of the road. These days, running is second nature to me. From marathons to park runs to putting my own running group through their paces. You'll often see me in suitably loud attire, getting ready to pound the pavements. And here's a secret, if I can do it, you can too. There's so many wonderful and inspiring stories in the world of running. And not just running, some of my favourite tales involve those who take to their wheelchairs, bikes or simply their own trusty feet in an attempt to get fitter, faster or just have some fun. In this podcast, I'm going to be in conversation with some of the most inspiring and fascinating of these people. Remember, it's your time, your speed, your way. The only person you need to keep up with is yourself. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Running Tales podcast. Can you believe we've reached double figures already? I hope you've enjoyed listening as much as I have loved talking to some of the runners that really have inspired me. From Catherine Hickford's incredible weight loss since she embraced running, to Leonie Hurd working her magic with cancer sufferers. I've heard from some amazing people, and it's not just been runners. I'd love speaking to wheelchair athlete Carol James, who overcome a car crash to become one of the faces of This Girl Can, and to Leo De Awa, my race walking friend, with his sights set on the Olympics. If you get the chance, have a listen back, and please do leave a rating or review if you're listening to Apple Podcasts. This week I've been speaking to Claire Hedges. Claire is a volunteer member at the Deaf Hub in Northamptonshire, and despite only starting running towards the end of last year, 2019, has already become involved in a starting running group, catering for both people with hearing and deaf and hard of hearing runners. This is her running tale.
I am profoundly deaf. If I take my cochlear out, I've got absolutely no hearing whatsoever. I'm classed as profoundly, which means that I've got basically nothing. It's a sensory neural type of deafness, so it's degenerative. So my hearing's got worse as I've got older.
When you was born, you could hear or only slightly? When did your parents identify? Really?
They don't know. They found out when I was 4.
Really? And what made them realise that there was an issue with hearing?
Well, I was talking normally. I spoke quite clearly, and then they realised I was learning to lip read from my mum. And they didn't realise that I'd started losing my hearing already, and they picked it up in nursery.
Wow! And then what was the next stage after that? How?
I had to wear a really big phonic aid with 2 wires and 2 little things in my ears, and slowly my hearing just got worse as I got older. And I went to boarding school for the deaf at the age of 11 till I was 18.
So we're clear that it is both ears then that you're...
It's both ears, yeah. I can wear a hearing aid in my left ear if I want to, but it sounds totally different to my cochlear, which is in my right ear. So I only wear my cochlear in my right ear.
Oh, so how long have you had that in then?
It'll be 3 years this November.
And has it made a big difference to your life?
Yeah, actually it's 4 years this November. Get it right? Yes, it has made a massive difference. I can understand my daughter better. I can use the phone again. Yeah, it's made me a lot more confident. It's put me back to how I was when I was younger. But I still haven't got perfect hearing, if that makes sense. I'm still a deaf person. So although it works really well and I can hear a lot, I've still got a lot of disadvantages. I still can't hear everything.
Your main communication, would you say, is sign language, or you lip read and then?
For me, it's lip reading. I do use sign language, but only mainly with my friends who are deaf or things like that. With my family at home, we don't use sign language at all. Well, me and my son do, just because we want to talk about things that we don't want the little one to know about. But basically, not at home, not even with my family, I don't.
Really? So the family, apart from Joe, your son, can do sign language with you?
No, none of us.
None
of them. My mum, my dad, none of them do sign language.
It's all lip reading.
I didn't start learning sign language till I was 11 when I went to Maryhair, the boarding school.
Yeah.
And I met other deaf children, and they came from deaf families where they use sign language as their main communication. So I sort of had to learn it from that point on. So I wouldn't say I was proficient, but I know some, that's all.
You just assume, deaf, then sign language is automatic to learn. This is fascinating. Yeah. So moving on then to why, as well, we've got you on this podcast. You're a runner.
Yes.
A late runner.
Yes.
But tell us back, what was your activities younger? What was you into? Like hula hooping as a kid, roller skates? What was your sport as a child?
I was a horse rider.
Yeah.
As a kid. I played a lot of netball, tennis, hockey at school. I was never a runner. I was always made to do the 1500 meters, just because that was the only thing that I could do, because I was too slow to do anything else. Used to do across country, and I was one of those kids who had a packet of fags in the back pocket, so I'd stand back at the back and have a fag on the way around. I was one of those. So yeah, running was never my thing, and I discovered it last year through Emma Service. Both of our daughters were at nursery together, and she was always coming running. She always looked really well, and she was saying about how it was really great. And I was thinking, maybe I should try this. She was like, yeah, go for it. You get to wear dicky boots and all that sort of thing. So I tried to catch the 5K. I got injured, so I had to stop. That was last year in May. I had to stop. So I had to have a 6-week rest over the summer, and then I started it again in September.
So what encouraged you in September to come back?
It's the mental health side of things, the social, the friends, and I love parkrun. I absolutely love going to parkrun. I'm really missing it.
Did you come to the Deaf Awareness Week last July at the racecourse in Northampton last year?
No, I wasn't doing it then. I only started doing parkrun in October last year, I think.
And then how did you feel? Because we're a very large number at parkrun. Yeah. Did you feel the communication? How do you feel when you're running around parkrun?
I just switched my music on because my cochlear. I've got a hearing aid clip, so it puts my music directly into my cochlear, so I cannot hear anything else when I'm running, and I like it that way. It can be quite difficult sometimes because people don't realise that you're deaf, and they'll sort of zoom past you with their dogs or their buggies or whatever, and you feel like you're being tripped over every 5 minutes. But I suppose that's just part and parcel of parkrun. People don't sort of run in the right order. The fast ones should be at the front and then they should get going. Sort of things like that. But I just love it.
What's your personal view on, you're saying that people aren't aware that that you are profoundly deaf, and we do have totally deaf at parkrun. I was shocked myself when we did that Deaf Awareness Week, how many actually regulars did have issues with hearing. And that really surprised me. They never said nothing. We weren't fully on board in that area. How do you feel now about the suggestions that have been put forward about, like visually impaired wear vests? How do you personally feel about a deaf or hard of hearing, so you don't avoid that situation of accidentally being knocked or abusively shouted at, even though you can't hear them? When they go by and they look at you. Not that you get this often or at all, I don't know. I know generally I've spoken to some of your friends, they have experienced that.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be worried about wearing a t-shirt if it was a specific t-shirt, or even just like a bib that you put over the t-shirt. It's our safety as well as everybody else's. Otherwise, how is anyone going to know? Because, we wear our bandana things, we wear everything. It covers up hearing aids anyway. So no one
Yes,
can see the hearing aids. Or a lot of people I know that are deaf, they don't even wear their hearing aids when they go running because they just don't like it's the sound of their breathing. They just don't like it because it
really.
amplifies. Yeah, the hearing aids amplify certain pitches, and it really is very loud when you're breathing hard when you're running. You've got that whatever running when you're running, and it really amplifies that, and it's really horrible. So a lot of deaf people don't even wear their hearing aids.
Oh, well, that's interesting to know. You're a new runner. You started running in September, and then you came
Yeah.
a few times to step forward with Lewis for fartlet, a bit of fast, slow sessions. And we have our ways of, well, I didn't know any sign language, so it was like flapping the arms as fast up and down for fast.
Yeah.
But we communicated, and
Yeah.
you didn't feel like not part of the group. And even Alec, you started bringing more, deaf runners that were
Yeah.
totally deaf to the group.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that was quite an amazing to have that in my own
Yeah.
group. But it made me more aware as well at parkrun how many deaf or hard of hearing park runners were attending.
Yeah.
Is this a huge part of the Deaf Hub in Northampton, promoting parkrun or running generally?
At Deaf Hub, we have set up a running group in Malton, which we try to make it so that it's got a mix of deaf and hearing. So we don't want to set up just a deaf running group because deaf people don't want to be just running amongst themselves. They like mixing. So we set that up in Malton, and the hope is to try and make running groups more accessible as a whole, because not all deaf people live in the same area. So there's deaf people, we're scattered everywhere. The community is large, but it's spread over a large area.
For those that don't know, what is the Deaf Hub?
The Deaf Hub is run by Jessica and Catherine, and it provides interpreters and services and help to deaf people, so they can go to them with any issues like phone calls and communication and things like that.
Is this a service that you went to and then you ended up working there?
I know I'm friends with Jessica, and I volunteer there. So I volunteer and I do the fundraising for the running group and to try and integrate running amongst running events and
And
things like that. So I've started talking to events, and trying to make them more deaf aware and more accessible for deaf people.
Wow, so you only started running in September and now you're trying to start running groups. This is, wow.
I'm crazy. What can I say?
No, but obviously running has made an effect on you that's, straight away you've been thinking, wow, if it's helping me so much, it can help others.
It's become a big part of my life, I must admit, running. My husband's very aware, and he knows when I need to go for a run because I'll start getting rather cranky. You just need to get out and have your own headspace. So yeah, it is a major, major part of my life, and I'm always trying to encourage people. I'm trying to get my husband to go running with me, but he won't. My son comes with me occasionally, but yeah, it's just something that I think it's good for people. I think it's good for mental health. It's good for health in general. It's good for socializing. It's good for, you can mix all abilities in this one activity, and you can make so many new connections and friends through it.
Have you run a race yet?
I've done 2.
And
I did my first one in October last year before I'd even finished my Couch to 5K. I did
Okay.
5K at Bedford Autodrome, and that was the
Yes.
first time I'd run continuously without stopping.
Well done.
That was a really slow run. That was 38 minutes. It was absolutely rubbish, but I was absolutely elated that I finished it.
We have to
And then
educate you. We have to stop there. We have to educate you. There's no such thing as a slow runner. I'm going to
I'm
even do it in
I'm a
sign
snail, that's what I
language.
say.
For those, to let you know, listeners, we're on Zoom, so I'm doing sign language. During this lockdown, the lovely Claire has been teaching me basic sign language. So when we next go back to parkrun, I'm going to hopefully stand up there and start doing it. So at this current time, I'm doing the sign slow. Myself and my husband have started doing sign language.
It's brilliant because it's something that it's a skill to learn, because it's not just about using it at parkrun. It's about using it anywhere, because deaf people don't have that access, and it's it's nice for deaf people to go, "Oh, I can communicate with you. I don't have to try and lip read. I don't have to." Do you know what I mean? They can. It's just lovely, and I just think you're both so amazing for doing it. They really are. There's not many
No, it's
people out
just,
there that are.
I'll be honest with you, it's in the last 6 months, and I wouldn't just say with myself, I would say with other runners in the group, with park runners, that with what you're doing, and with Jessica as well, who hopefully we'll get on a future podcast, that, it's like the deaf community have come alive in running. They most probably already, I'm sure they've always been there, but it's like all of a sudden it's coming forward, and it's like, yes, I'm deaf, proud, and here I am. And it's like,
It is.
wow, I want to communicate,
Yeah.
So
Hang
you
on.
done your first race, and then what was your second race?
Silverstone.
What distance?
5k again. I should have
Okay,
gone
yes,
10k.
no. Why? Why?
I was really disappointed I finished so quickly. I really should have done the 10k after that race. That was the last race I did, and I haven't even booked anymore, and then went into lockdown. So I really want to get out and do some more.
So let's talk about the lockdown. How are you coping? Are you running?
I'm running when I can, usually at the weekends at the moment, obviously because I've got kids at home. My son is a typical teenager. He doesn't get up till about 12 o'clock. I think it was 1:30 this afternoon, actually, today. He's got nothing to do. He's finished his GCSEs early because he hasn't done his exams and stuff. So my husband's working full time, so I'm only really able to get out at the weekends unless he's off during the week.
And is that driving you stir crazy?
I must admit it is.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I'm really, especially because I'm such a social runner. I don't like running by myself. I like running with people. I'm missing coming to Bartlett. I'm missing doing parkrun. I'm missing running with Emma and Mel and and Jessica and Alice. I'm missing running with everybody. So I am really struggling with that as well. So I'm not even managing to get my distances in. I think about 5k is what I do now. So
At least you're out running. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of everyone. I'm injured at this present time, so I'm very jealous. So please take it that you're just having a run. You're running for me and all the other injured runners out there at this time that are going nuts.
Are you still not better in it? You've not recovered yet?
No. IT bands, doing exercises from the internet, but I really need to see someone, but I cannot because of the lockdown. So it's that sort of situation at the moment.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there can step forward for Lewis' Facebook page, get on there and help me, work out how to solve this issue. But I definitely need to get it seen to, but it's a time thing. So one thing you'll learn, or hopefully never learn, is what it's like to be an injured runner. You think you're grumpy after a few days of no running. With what you're doing, I know at the moment you're at a freeze with cannot do any physical running with the group that you've set up, which is called Altogether Running.
Altogether Running, yeah.
Are you doing stuff at the moment in preparation for it? What's the plans?
We're still meeting once a week. We're trying to set it up so that we can meet a second day in the week, probably somewhere different other than Malton, because there are other places that we can go. Malton can be quite limited. It's mostly road or path running. So we're looking to maybe go somewhere like Abington Park or something like that. in an evening. We'd also like to set up a Couch to 5K, just because a lot of the Couch to 5K things are on apps on phones, and it's telling you what to do, it's telling you when to run, when to stop. Deaf people can't access that because they can't hear
True.
what's going on. So they need a group, and they need to, because if they're new to running as well, they're not going to understand how to set up their watches for interval training and things like that. So that's something that we're looking into doing as well. We're also looking to try and get a group of walk to run for the older generation, and to try and get them out and about as well. So it's not just for the deaf runners, it's for a bit of everybody really as well.
No, it
Which
sounds
is why
really
we called it all
exciting.
together. Yeah.
It sounds very exciting. Are you going to have your own T-shirts, and what colour are they going to be if you do?
We are going to have our own T-shirts and stuff, but we haven't quite figured out what the colouring is. It's mainly just for the, the trainers, the team leaders, should I say, just so that people, it's visual, so they know who's who. Just because for deaf people, they don't want to be going around and saying who's the responsible for all of this. They're not going to have that confidence. They're not going to know if they can communicate. But it needs to be quite visual straight away to say, right, team leader on the back of the T-shirt and whatnot, so they know who to go to. So yeah, we're sorting all that out. We'll have some high vis things for when we go out in the evenings and stuff like that, hopefully. So.
Other than like with yourselves at the Deaf Hub, is there any other support out in Northamptonshire for the deaf community?
Northampton Sport have got a disability advisor, Graham. He's been fantastic. I'm in contact with him. Yeah, I think he's the only one that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if Jessica knows anymore. Obviously, I haven't been in the role for very long, so I'm still sort of feeling my way out and finding people to communicate with.
So it sounds very exciting then,
It is. It's just a bit hard on the lockdown because nobody's really communicating. We can't really do much. So we've just sort of put everything on a bit of a pause at the moment.
It sounds like once the lockdown's over and we're all back into the real world, that we've got another running group in Northamptonshire, meaning we're going to get more people fit.
Yeah, that's the plan.
It's a win-win.
It is. And we just want it to be, accessible. It's a morning session that we're running at the moment, so it's like at 9:30 in the morning. So we're hoping to kind of get the mums and the ones who've got the kids off at school, and get them out and about, and while the kids are at school and stuff as well.
So how do you feel about Northampton? We're going to have a junior park run, hopefully, when this is, well, I'm not saying hopefully, it will happen. I'm being positive.
It will happen.
In the sense that we are coming back.
Yes.
So we're all ready to go anyway. How do you feel that we could encourage? Would you be able to support, not you personally, but the Altogether Running Group, the Deaf Hub, in maybe starting from children? Get the children into sport.
Yeah.
Into parkrun.
Yeah, we would. I was hoping to bring my daughter. She was really excited. She was really upset when it all got sort of cancelled because of the lockdown. So yeah, it's definitely something. I know Jessica wants to bring her daughter, because there's the thing about deaf families is not all of the children will be deaf. So there'll be deaf parents and hearing children, or hearing parents, deaf children, or deaf parents and deaf children. There's so much of a mix. So yeah, it's brilliant for kids to mix. So
is your daughter, has she got her full hearing?
She's got full hearing, and so is my son. There is a Facebook page of Parkrun for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing.
I'm on that.
Yes. So that if you put it on there about junior parkrun, they will bring their kids. They will, because deaf people are sociable, and we like to mix and meet. So it will happen.
How do you find the Parkrun Deaf and Hard of Hearing Facebook page? Very useful when it comes to
It's very useful. Yeah, especially if you want to do a bit of tourism as well. So you say, oh, I fancy going to this one. Any deaf people going there this weekend? You get to have a bit of chit chat and catch up, and It's
And talking
brilliant.
about tourism, you did some sign language with Jessica at Urchester.
Yes, we did. We did,
And how
yes.
did you find that? Because it was a different park run. It wasn't what you was used to. It wasn't your safe net.
No, it was really nice. I mean, Vinay's lovely, and obviously he's works with us for All Together Running. He was brought in to sort of help advise us a bit about how to go about some things. And he runs with us on a Monday, sort of helping us out. So yeah, it was really lovely. We were the only deaf people there at Chester. So even though there was no other deaf people, park running, and we were the only ones there, they're seeing something, they're learning something, and they're being made aware that there are deaf people that actually do park run, even if they're not deaf themselves. So
At the moment, when you do go to park runs, obviously minus Northampton, are you seeing more deaf sign support, or is this something that needs more work?
I think it still needs more work. I think it needs to become a regular volunteer post. When you've got your volunteers every week, I think it needs to be every week you need to have it, because you never know where these deaf people are going to turn up. They could just turn up, and if they've got no support, they've got no access to what's going on.
Personally, for you as a runner, what's your goal?
To continuously run a half marathon, that's what I'd like to do. I don't want to go any further than that. A marathon scares the living bejesus out of me.
But didn't September last year a half marathon scare you?
Yes.
I'll just rest it there. On that note, we will finish the podcast.
What do you think? I reckon Claire's got a marathon in her. She's certainly a lady on the go and has given me plenty to think about, not only in terms of how we cater for deaf runners at events like parkrun and in races, but in terms of how little things like learning a bit of sign language can mean so much. Be sure to let me know what you thought of our chat in all of our normal places. Step Forward Lewis on Facebook and Instagram. And just to be different, at Forward with Lewis on Twitter. That's the number 4 followed by Wood with Lewis. Thanks for joining Claire and I. I look forward to seeing you all again next week on our Running Tales podcast.